You're watching It's Life Live with your hosts, Juan Lee and Oliver Marcel. Come join us for enriching, enlightening, encouraging, and thought-provoking conversation. Let's go.
Hello, hello, hello. Hey, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can.
I've
I
been
guess
having
you're.
I had to kind of switch up the way I do my sound, man, for right now, and it's not ideal for me, but it's gonna work.
I hear you.
So
I hear you. Um, Welcome everybody. Welcome. We are back. Dog, Oliver, you didn't tell me I had this shine on my head.
what's that? Oh, I didn't even notice. I got one on mine too, man. Mine is more than the light though. Mine is actually shiny.
yeah, but I'm bright light and almost shucks. I'm bright and it's like shining
listen,
my head.
listen. We need makeup artists before we get on here.
I can't. I need. Maybe I'm gonna have to work on my bald spot. Look at that shine up there. I got a light on my head.
It's all good.
Anyway,
It's
thank
all
you,
good.
everybody. Everybody, for those that are listening live, it's Juan and Oliver here again, and we are back with It's Life Live, presented by Clear Journey, a nonprofit that supports individuals and families that are struggling, looking for answers in life, and we provide education and resources so that they might be able to navigate life successfully, being fulfilled in their lives. We actually talk about the better life, and we talk about 8 areas of life. And every Wednesday night, we come and we bring some information that's under one of those areas. And tonight, we're going to be talking about health and what the health is as it relates to the family and the value of the family. And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So yeah, so welcome. Come on in. If you want to talk to us, hit us up on either Facebook, LinkedIn, or either the YouTube channels. We're here. We want to be engaging as possible. So let us know what it is that we can do. And if you got questions, let us know. We're here for you. Um, Interesting enough, though, Oliver, how's your week been?
Week has been pretty good, man. Outside of these little technical issues, which is all good. I come out of the tech space, so that's kind of be sometimes to be expected that you're gonna find yourself dealing with stuff. But the week has been good, man. Coming off of, quite honestly, coming off of a high over the weekend, man. We were able to. For those that don't know who I am, I'm a relationship uh, passionate about seeing relationships thrive. So a speaker and coach in the relationship building space. Uh, we had the privilege and opportunity to be the speakers for a weekend marriage retreat. So 3 sessions, well, 4 sessions, but we did 3 of the 4 sessions over the course of 3 days. Man, it was a really great experience, great feedback. I'm always in awe of the the impact that we have. To be quite honest, I'm always in awe of that. Right, just people coming up to us, people talking to us after the sessions. People, it was a good experience. So really, kind of just still floating through the week
On that high.
based on that, and then we got something else coming up for those of you who are in the Virginia area. Look out for something we'll post tomorrow, I believe, about we'll be back in Virginia doing some things as well. So, yeah, so good week, man. Just a
Cool.
good week because I've been floating on that.
Well, good. That's great. Hey, that's you're gonna be floating for quite a while because you got you're
Got a couple
busy.
got a couple things coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that is great. The thing we're going to talk about tonight is, the topic for the night is how to identify signs of an unhealthy family dynamic. And as I was thinking about that, I was like, before we can be able to identify an unhealthy dynamic, I think it's probably important enough to realize or to find out what is the role of the family. Why is it? What? How do you now determine whether or not something is healthy or not if you don't know what it takes to be healthy?
Mm,
What does a healthy family life look like? And it's interesting because when we talk about family, right? We always everybody got a dysfunctional family. Everybody come from a dysfunctional family some kind of way. But
mhm.
the thing about it is that we all got experiences, but how do we recognize what the intent of the family is? Everybody, got one,
Mhm.
but it doesn't necessarily always end up or the way we particularly want it to. And do we know what it is? So I came up with a couple things, a few, maybe five or six, as relates to what the role of the family is.
Okay.
And the first thing it was is that it's socialization. A family allows us to, socialize, determine what is normal,
Mhm.
the values and behaviors, and we learn those basically as children from our parents.
Yeah.
It's what we get, those type of how we learn to understand what we're all about, what we into. What do you
Yeah,
think?
it's interesting too because we don't often realize the significance of that. So we kind of go through life and we just allow, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, but we allow the nuances of life, the scenarios that come up on our journey to kind of dictate how we navigate, right? And we don't often really pay as much attention as we should to what you just said, right? The way that we view life, the way that we navigate life, the perspective we have, the reactions we have, and the list can go on and on and on, can all be tied back to family of origin because
Hmm.
that's where we learn that. And we were talking about that even in this retreat that we were talking about, just our approach to how we do marriage, our approach to how we form and maintain relationships. We see all of that through the socialization of the family, the familial unit, right? And so
Hmm.
I'm saying that to say this, and I'm kind of skipping to the end, but I'm going to say it here, is that you really got to think about that as you are starting and or raising a family, is that you're shaping the way individuals will see life. So that is really, really important. And I don't feel like enough of us, and maybe I'm saying that because I don't feel like I paid enough attention to it. And so maybe I just misery loves company. So I'm throwing everybody under the bus. But I think a lot of us don't really, really recognize how significant that is.
Yeah, I mean, because one of the things that came up, it was talking about where you get these role models from. Our role
Mhm,
models should come from our home,
mhm,
and
mm.
yet
Wow.
our homes are the ones that are promoting other people as our role model,
Mm.
and yet that's where we should be able to get that role model from, at the home. And so, hey, if we don't get it at home, we're going to end up getting it from somewhere else.
It's going to come from somewhere else. You're right.
The next one we talk about is the emotional support, encouragement, understanding about in difficult times.
Hmm.
Is that's something that, I'll be honest with you, as I grew up, and my dynamics in my family, I was the third, fourth child, and and there was a great deal of different of age group difference between my siblings and I. I mean, I was 6 years younger than my youngest sibling,
Hmm.
and my oldest sibling was almost 10 years older than me.
Okay.
So the dynamics there was extremely different as it relates to what we had in common,
Hmm.
and that wasn't too much. But you know that is where you get that encouragement from. And yet, hey, as it relates to my siblings, we had very little things and not much in common.
Hmm.
It was interesting when I left to go to military and came back. I left as a child and came back as a man, so to speak. You know, I
Hmm.
was of age. I was 27 when I came back. I was 18 when I left,
Hmm.
and so they didn't even know who I was. You know, be honest with you. It
Right.
was like a little kid left, and then he come back 27 years old. Like, what happened?
Mm. Mm, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, emotional support is in so many different areas. You don't know you need it until you don't get it.
That's that's a key point. For many of us, we don't know we need it until we don't get it. And for many of us, we've grown up, and I'm gonna speak for the men in particular, because you know I have a
Mm-hmm.
passion in that area. Many of us aren't taught that we need it, so we're not even looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't until we realize that there is a gap and we can't identify the origin or the fix for that gap is when we start looking around and hopefully recognize or have that moment of self discovery that leads you to the fact that it's emotional support that's missing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the reality of it. But it's that ability to know that that's what the family is meant for. The family is meant, the role of the family is to give that emotional support
Hmm.
to its members. The next one is one that we probably oftentimes realize and do. It's not even easy. You know, it's not hard to imagine. It's called, it's economic support. You
Hmm.
know, economic support, but then it goes to how we give that economic support. It's amazing that in various cultures, when you think of family and economics, we think about especially groups that come to United States and they will pool their everything together
Hmm.
so that they can accomplish something collectively.
Right.
And I think that that's something that a lot of American families don't really understand, that ability of pooling our resources together for the betterment of all.
Yeah.
And yeah, and so that, it's just not enough to just have food,
Hmm.
shelter, but then we talking about when you use your resources so that education and other opportunities, hey, we're talking about we're in this thing together. And that's something that we struggle with, of understanding the value of that.
There's some cultural implications there as well, right? You talked about other nationalities and ethnicities that come to the United States, and you know of individuals and you hear of stories where uh, 15 people live in the same house
Mm-hmm.
and they all pool their money together to buy house number two, and then they split it up, and seven people go in one house and seven people go in the other, but all 15, 14, 15 of them still pool together to get house number three, and they keep
Mm-hmm.
doing that, and truck number one, and then truck number two, and they keep doing that until the conglomerate has everything that they need. We are often, and I'm gonna throw the African American culture under the bus, because that's I can do that because that's who I am, right?
Oh well.
We're often taught the exact opposite. We're often taught the I got mine, so you got to get yours kind of mentality,
Mm-hmm.
and we're we are at a loss because of it. And we got somebody in the comments, it says LinkedIn user, so we don't know your name, so forgive us, we can't call your name because it only shows LinkedIn user. Says absolutely in pooling our resources, keep it real. Yeah, folk who don't know me, if you kind of follow me on social media, I'm that guy, so I'm gonna kind of go there often. But that's something that we have not been taught how to do well. And
Mm-hmm.
there are other nationalities who do that extremely well in terms
Yeah.
of the economic support.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is that that's one of those things that is the role of the family. It's
Yeah.
it's it's there for that purpose. The family, it's that foundation for all of these things that I'm talking about. There's benefits
There's benefits.
that you learn, that you gain, because that you're in this family. And
Yeah.
it's because these various aspects of the family is being implemented
Yeah. And let me say,
in that resource.
and let me say this too with the economic piece, right? Here's what we're not saying. Abbas, I hope I said that. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Thank you for your comments and for being here. Um, let me say this about the economic piece. What I'm not saying is this, right? And I think the thing that often we causes us to be apprehensive about this pooling resources piece is that our point of reference is often skewed, right? We've been hurt before, we've been taken advantage of before, we have been manipulated before, we've been used before, we've had to endure broken promises. There's so many things that cause us to be apprehensive, right? And so what I'm not saying is that we're talking about pooling resources in terms of just having one person just continuing to be a taker, right? That's not what we're
Mhm.
saying. You have to use some judgment, you have to use some common sense, you have to use some discernment around how much of yourself you're going to continue to give to a taker. That's not what we're talking about. And I think sometimes that's where our head goes when we think about pooling resources. Well, I'm not just going to be throwing my stuff in and nobody ain't throwing their stuff in. I get it. I get that. We're talking about a society where we are actively looking out for each other, and a family, a familial unit where you're actively looking out for each other. That means everybody's kind of pulling the weight they can pull, but they know that they have some level of support around them for the weight that they can't. And that's kind of what that is. One, this person said, "My name is Avis." It's
Hey,
Avis is
Avis.
the name.
Hey, Avis.
Avis.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Hey, you're absolutely right. And the thing about it is that because we don't understand
Hmm.
the value that the role that the family plays, it's very easy to think that someone is taking advantage of us when it's there for our support. Again, if we
Hmm.
don't recognize that it's there for our support, it's easy for us to think that we're going to be taken advantage of. And
Yeah.
it's amazing. The family is intended
Hmm.
for that purpose of support.
And here's the thing. Let's be real. It also does not help that there are individuals who are doing exactly what we just said. They are taking advantage.
And that's the point I'm saying.
You
But
know what I mean?
here's the point. At the end of the day, if we don't know what we are lacking, we can't address it and make it better.
True.
And so if we've been brought up in this with a mindset of thinking twice before giving or being a part of the support mechanism system,
Hmm.
we're not going to be able to know that that's what we're supposed to do. That's because that's all we know is to be resistant rather than inclusive, or being adding to rather than trying to take from.
Yeah.
But it's amazing when it gets into the family fiber. Oh man, it really gets ugly in the family fiber when you don't have that ability to find support, and you find divisive division
Hmm.
in it. That's a whole nother story. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
There's another thing here as it relates to identity, and I spoke to you about this early before we got started, as it relates to formating your identity.
Hmm.
um your family background, your ancestry, receiving those things that really gives you your place in the world.
Hmm.
And as a child, a teenager, I graduated from high school not knowing where I where I fit. I didn't know how I was going to survive. My identity was not very good, and we're going to get into the results of that in a little while. But that's another one of those things that we really understand, that when the family really has the ability to mold you and to give you your identity as it relates to, because when you step out of that family environment, you get into the world and everybody's going to be after you. It's going to be, what are they going to be thinking, or how they're going to maneuver or view you if you don't know who you are. If you don't know who you are, you're going to be taking so many shots from everybody else trying to maneuver their situation at your expense. And you don't know how to navigate that because you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
This is a very critical part of everything, because once you go outside that door, that family, that house, that however you want to put it, you get into the world. If you don't know who you are, you're going to be subject to what's out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know how to navigate it because you have no reference. You have
Yeah.
no, unfortunately, we talk about it as being, we talk about, well, you ain't got no home growing, you ain't got no home training.
Right.
But the gist of the matter is that, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
What do I stand for? My identity
Yeah.
comes from the home.
Yeah. Ava said exactly. We are the product of our environment. Um, it's that identity piece is also something that is not stressed as much as it used to be, right? I'm sure you can remember this, and I remember this. Hearing someone in the family, whether it be your father, mother, grandparents, somebody saying to you, "Hey, you are a whatever your last name is," right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you leave out of here today, you're gonna need to make that last name look a certain way, right?
Right.
And that's important, right? Identifying with something that now hopefully causes you to navigate life in a way that is in alignment with the values that are in alignment with the identity. And I think we need to do more of that as well.
Yeah, I mean, and because that leads right into the next one where it says the family determines the moral and ethical foundation. It's installs the values, the honesty, the integrity, and the responsibility. It's this understanding that you've been past the baton, so to speak,
Hmm.
and it's your turn to run the race so that you can hand it off to the next generation. And these values that we've instilled in you, it's up to you to carry them on. And that's the role of the family.
Yeah.
But again, we're subject to whatever we get, because that's what we're going to take out the door. Yep.
Yeah. Man,
Now,
man,
go
that's
ahead.
good. That's good. I'm just thinking out loud, man. We just the more people we get to recognize that and then play in that space, so to speak, I believe that that's at the core of either our success or our demise, because the familial unit is those familial units make up the thread of our community. Those communities make up the thread of our society, and you can keep going, right?
That's exactly one of the things that it talks about. One of the last one is the social order. The
Hmm.
family determines the social order. The It leads in the structure and the stability of the family and the community and the community. And that's the thing that really we have to realize and recognize, that it's there to influence the community.
That's good.
It's there for that purpose. And
It's
so,
there to influence the community.
yeah, that's the one of the final things that it does, is to influence the community, because now that's what makes up the community, that family. It then goes out into the community that determines that the stability of the community. But here's then, if that's what it's supposed to do,
Mm-hmm.
What's the consequences of it not happening?
Mm. Okay.
And that's where we're going to move into. And I can tell you the number one thing, and it says, is that it has the potential to create low self-esteem when you don't get the things that you mean, the mental support, the support that it's meant to give us. It leaves us wondering how and imagining how we going to do what it is we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now in my case, I did have low self-esteem growing up.
Okay.
And as a result, I'm not going to necessarily say, but mine was a culmination of things. You
Mm-hmm.
know, my identity and my education and all that stuff, it came at, it just compounded. But when you don't have a lot of moral support,
Mm-hmm.
you end up having to take on the weight of that deficiency that I had. I have a learning disability that was not diagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was having to carry that without any support. I mean, it's amazing. I'm an author and I wrote in my book, and it was amazing. I shared that, and a lot of my family didn't understand what I went through
Mm-hmm.
as having a learning disability because they were just not, again, if you take the gaps that was in my age, my siblings, and it's like it wasn't going to happen. They just didn't know. When I got to high school, they were grown and married by the time I got to high school.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
um so it was that kind of thing that I had to deal with. So another one, we end up having trust issues
Hmm.
when we don't get that family support. Then it ends up making it difficult for us to trust others in future relationships, because there are things that we just didn't get to understand how we deal with, you know decision making, and being able to deal with controversy and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We don't learn it, so we end up being subject to it. Another one is mental health issues. And it's amazing. I'm going to go through these. And as I realized and I learned about these things just in the last few days, I can see myself in
Mm-hmm.
some of these. And it's interesting because we talk about anxiety, depression, past traumas, stress disorders. You know, these are things that we don't understand that they could be as a result of experiences that we grew into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Very true.
Next one is um, impaired social skills, struggling with forming and maintaining relationships outside of the family. You know, no positive role models. And when the role models are supposed to be in home, and then we end up going outside to quote unquote find those role models,
Mm-hmm.
that's when things begin to give us, questionable outcomes, because the people that we end up becoming role models to us outside of our family, they're not vested in us. They don't. I mean, they're not. So it's
Right.
like, who was that told me? I think it was Charles Barkley. I heard Charles Barkley said, "Don't tell nobody that I'm your role model.
Mm-hmm.
I, uh, I I'm not your role model."
Right.
Mm-mm. And we want to connect ourselves to what we see as success, and then Charles like said, "No, don't do that."
Yeah. Don't put that on me.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to realize, hey, who's the one who gets the opportunity to be influenced? It's the home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, every night you end up where? Back at home.
At least you
Here's
should.
another one. Here's another one. Poor coping mechanisms. Here's the thing that really ends up, and we see it a lot. We end up finding poor coping mechanisms
Mm-hmm.
such as substance abuse,
Mm-hmm.
self harm, risky behavior, and that encompasses a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
These are the consequences. These are the things that we can actually see, but we can't associate where it came from.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that this is always the case in everyone's case, but the thing about it is we can't overlook something that we don't want to recognize, or that we could be the source that allows us to go back and say, hey, that's what I need to look at.
Hmm.
And that's what I need to address. Um, Difficulty with intimacy,
Mm. Yeah.
fearing intimacy or committing to adult relationships.
Yep. I see that quite often
Mm-hmm.
in my line of work.
Mm-hmm. And then the next one, repeating what we see,
Hmm.
unconsciously duplicating patterns that we've seen in relationships.
Yeah. And that is almost 100% inevitable if there is no level of intervention.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't happen to run across someone who can show you a different way or present a different pathway to success or show you some level of alternative, that is almost 100% inevitable uh, that you will mirror what you have experienced.
Mm-hmm. And the next one, and this is again, I'm putting my hands up because this has been something that I've had to deal with, and this is interesting, that chronic health issues. Chronic health issues. Now, here's what the ones that they're saying that are potential
Hmm.
from being in an a a a, a family that has not performed in the way that it was supposed to. We end up migraines,
Mm.
um, digestive problems, autoimmune diseases.
Wow.
And this has come from just as a result of the stress of the family.
Hmm.
And it's amazing because it takes time for it to wear on you.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
takes time for it to wear on you.
Yeah. And often you are unable to address for one reason or another just because you just don't know that you're even headed down that road, that is the trajectory until
Mm-hmm.
you're there
Mm-hmm.
and in the
Mm-hmm.
midst of it. And so there's often no intention around prevention because the awareness is not there.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing. And you can't do anything until you can at least first recognize that
Right.
it's an issue, that
Right.
it's a problem.
Mhm.
We don't know what we don't know until somebody tells us or at least exposes us to the opportunity. That's why when I was reading through this and I was going like, man, I have had two of those three issues.
Okay.
Two of those three issues.
Hmm.
Hey,
Wow. Yeah.
do what do I do? I mean, there's something that needs to be changed. It's something that needs to be changed. And I'm of the mindset that a lot of our mental and physical health, they're connected. And that's something that I've in the process of learning myself.
Very much so.
They are connected.
Very much so. I was just watching something where they were talking about the process, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but the process that happens in your body that where the body takes now what has been ingested and creates what it needs to create for the body to function correctly. And the guy was talking about, he's a biologist. He's talking about how when that process is not doing what it should, that a byproduct of that process breaking down is anxiety and depression.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're linking, you're making a direct link from your physical health in the way of what you're eating and how what you're eating is being processed to your mental capacity and stability
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the longer you're continuing to process those types of things,
Hmm.
it's going to continue to build up. And that's why health is a health issues most of the time is as a result of a period of time doing the same thing over and over
Hmm.
and over and over and over and over again.
Hmm.
And it's to the point where then it begins to have consequences.
Right.
And we don't recognize them until the consequences stowed out there. But it only came from many, many times repeating it over and over again.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that's it. And then it'll show up again in the way in which we pursue careers, our academic experiences, and how we pursue careers, and our ability to maintain and um, to we find ourselves not being able to stay in unemployment. We transfer different jobs. We
Hmm.
doing different things
Hmm.
because our ability to understand what it is to mean to stay in a
Hmm.
situation, we go because it's not, we don't know how to work the
Hmm.
system, work the environment.
Gotcha. Yep.
And the last one is isolation. They have sometimes what we end up doing is being isolated. We find ourselves, pulling away from other people because we don't like what people bring to us in the way of our family experiences. So we pull away, um, so that it's like a way of protecting ourselves. So all of those things are the things that we do as a result of not having our families in many cases providing the role that it's intended for.
Hmm.
But there's hope.
There's hope.
There's hope.
There is
And
hope.
that leads us to a good segue as it relates to what we have coming up in November the 4th.
I'm glad you said that. There is hope. There is hope right there. And here's the thing. It's also not too late. So, if I'm being very, very honest, there may be some components of this that you may have missed the timeline for, but that does not mean that adjustments cannot be made in your present that will maybe tweak to some degree the trajectory of the rest of your life experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there is hope, and part of that is, you know, being exposed to something that we are offering for the family, that Clear Journey is offering for the family in the way of some education around how to create a bond that will be conducive to your success in this area of creating healthy family dynamics. And so you're right. That's a phenomenal segue. Listen, let's play a couple promos. We got a couple promos. Let's play a few of them, and then we'll be back in just a moment.
Hello, I'm Juan Lee from Clear Journey, and I'm here to invite you to our webinar called Harmony at Home. It's free. All you have to do is go to clearjourney.org and register. We look forward to seeing you there. It's on November the 4th at 6 p.m. virtually. It's for everyone. It's so that we might have more harmony at home.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marcus G. Vilme, founder and mentality shifting coach at Ant Mentalities, which is a wellness mindset based business helping individuals shift their mentality away from a survival mindset so that they feel confident to fight every day toward a peaceful, enlightened future. Now, I am so excited to be part of the Harmony at Home webinar, which will be discussing the big topic of family bonds. I not only will be a panelist, but I will also be the moderator for the webinar itself. Now, I will be covering the three topics of how your family has made an impact on your physical health, your views on nutrition, as well as your wellness, mainly on the topics of beliefs and values itself. Now, I'll be joined with a few life coaches as well as a doctor in the realm of psychology, where we'll be unpacking all these different topics and so much more. So please join us so we can help you create even more harmony at home and for the future.
What's up, family?
Hello, everyone.
I'm Oliver.
I'm Denise.
And we make up Denali, and we're excited to share with you that we are going to be a part of a special event that we want you to be a part of.
Yes.
It is a webinar entitled Harmony at Home, Strengthening Family Bonds Through Health and Wellness.
Yes, and that is on Saturday,
Indeed.
November 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Listen, you can go to clearjourney.org to register. We're going to be talking about how to build and strengthen bonds within the family. That's so important. You should be strengthening the bond in your family, right?
Definitely strengthening or maintaining that strength if it's already there. Definitely important to be doing that.
It is. So we're going to share some practical ways that you can do that. We have what we call a bonding hack, if you will, that we would love to share with everybody there. So make sure you go to clearjourney.org, register for this webinar. We want to see you there.
See you there.
Yes. Excited about being there. We're looking forward for everybody to show up, and we want to share all of the things that we have. Also, in addition, I think we haven't said anything, but we're going to have a raffle, and we're going to be giving away some coaching and counseling sessions by all of our panelists. So be there well in advance so that you can know about all of the things that you all are going to be given away that time that we're going to have there with you. We're going to start at 6 o'clock and we're going to run until all the questions are answered. We're not going to leave anybody without any questions about how we can build stronger families in our communities. But now, for the reason why we were here tonight was to be able to identify the needs of unhealthy families so that now we know what we're going to be looking for. And the first thing is when we lack communication, when we lack of communication, that's something that we have a tendency to just not know the value of being able to share our feelings with one another. Mm-hmm. If we feel like we're in bondage to our family and we can't tell them how we feel, that's something that we need to understand, that it can't be those things that we wanted it to be, that it's intended to be, if we can't share.
Yeah. An important component, or one of the most important components, I would dare say, of any healthy dynamic, relational dynamic, whether it be family, marriage, professional, is wrapped in your ability to communicate.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. Number 2 is consistent conflicts. When we are spending more time at each other's throat, at each other, rather than with each other, smiling and having good times, and that's a sign. That's a sign, and here's the point. We get so familiar with it and so comfortable with being in conflict all the time, we don't think twice about it.
That's true.
But just think about it. If we're constantly at conflict with each other, how can we get the kind of support that the family is intended to give?
Yeah.
That's a sign.
That is a sign. We're talking about signs of an unhealthy family dynamic. If you are in consistent conflict, there is obviously something awry.
Yeah. And hey, here's the point. And there's nobody to say that what's too many. It's just, okay, are we feeling the effects
Hmm.
of the conflicts over and over and over again? You
Hmm.
know, that's when we need to understand
And let's be
abuse. Go
right.
ahead.
And let's be clear, right? When we're talking about conflict, right? There's going to be conflict. Conflict is a part of the relational experience, right? Conflict can be a catalyst for growth and learning. It can be a catalyst for crafting strategy. However, what we're saying is, as it relates to signs of a unhealthy family dynamic, is that, like you said, if we are going through this, if we are in a cycle of conflict where conflict is not recognized, it is not managed, and it is not recovered from, and then you compound that with additional conflicts, and this continues to be a pattern, you have to look at some things. You have to look at where this pattern is developing. You have to look at why you're unable to recognize, manage, or recover from it. And you have to really get to the core of that and make
Hmm.
changes in order for your dynamic to be healthy.
Right. I mean, that's here again. All we're talking about here is being aware.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing, is being aware. Because again,
Hmm.
if we're unaware, we're using it and accepting it as normal, and we're
Right.
continuing to operate in the same dynamic, not knowing that the dynamic is unable to give us what we really need it to give us, and that's the support and the things that we talked about earlier at the
Hmm.
family. So
Hmm.
number three, it's abuse. It can, this can be physically, mentally, verbally, sexually abuse. These are the things that we need to recognize, and it's very subtle in many of these areas. But we also, again, we got to recognize it to the point where, hold on, now let's do something. Let's confront it in a manner in which we can do something about it. We can address it. And again, everything that I'm talking about here, guys, has to do with being able to take ownership of it and then pursuing what it takes to get what it is that you're desiring from it. And that's again why we're having Harmony at Home webinar, is so that we can give you those tools, those things that can help you navigate this
Hmm.
experience. And I'm telling you, there's not any of us that we don't have some of these areas in our homes. And
Hmm.
so when we're talking, we're sharing out of experiences that we can share with you and say, okay, we've walked down this road, we've been down this road. These are some of the things that we've done, and able to share them with you. The other one is, and this is a big one, denial. We will see things, hear things, say things, and then deny them as not ever having ever been there, that didn't exist,
Hmm.
because that's a mechanism of being able to just continue to be able to survive.
Yeah.
It's a denial mechanism. And then number five is unpredictable behavior. Those things that people do that really is abuse, in the sense of the things we were talking about, substance abuse and things like that, things that just doesn't add value to
Hmm.
the relationship, to the family dynamic.
Yeah.
Because we will begin to do things that works adversely
Hmm.
into what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Recognize it. And then that's what it's all about, taking action. This one right here, role reversals.
Mm.
Role reversals as relates to children taking on responsibilities as caregivers or doing roles of adults.
Got you. Yeah. Wow.
That is something that is very prevalent,
Yeah. It
and we
is.
don't recognize the impact that it will do to that child as a result of it.
It's so commonplace that we don't even realize that that's a indicator of an unhealthy family dynamic. It happens so often, especially in certain communities. It
Hmm.
happens it's almost become the norm that
Mhm.
at a certain age you're going to fend for yourself
Yeah.
and
And
or take on responsibilities of others.
yeah. And I think either one of those have an adverse effect on how you view this thing called life.
Hmm.
And as a result of it, then we're making decisions that are based on a perversion that we had to experience.
Hmm.
Yeah. The other one, I guess, what we talked about earlier is about isolation. It then begins to manifest. If you see yourself in a position where you don't want to engage, you
Hmm.
don't want to be engaging with others, and you find yourself being more reclusive, hey, is that something that can help facilitate? For instance, we were talking about finances. When you don't even want to engage with the family, let's more put your money in the doggone in the pot.
Hmm.
That's an indication that we ain't even gonna be able to work together. We can't
Right.
even talk or be in the same presence with each other. And then finally, not finally, but we have one where we talk about in the family where that there's a scapegoat. We've looked at it in a manner in which if something goes wrong, it's always that person's fault,
Hmm.
or it's always going to be put on me as being the fault, the reason why things didn't work.
Hmm.
If we're using people as the scapegoat instead of everybody assuming the role of this rich family, see,
Hmm.
we in this thing together
Right.
instead of trying to peg it on somebody else
Hmm.
or on one person. And then ultimately, unmet emotional needs. When we when we recognize that we're not getting um, our emotional needs met, that's something that's a sign
Yeah.
that it's really not a healthy
Hmm.
family dynamic. And yeah, again, those are just some of the signs of it not having a healthy dynamic family. But that doesn't mean that we can't do anything about it.
Exactly.
And that's what we're here for. That's why again, our Harmony at Home webinar is here to give you support, give you ideas, give you um, ways to be able to navigate this thing called life in a way in which we can um, begin to get all that we can out of this experience in our families and build these families out, because they're such a foundation on how we navigate this thing called life.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's great information. It's valuable information, and so you can see the kinds of things that you'll be exposed to when you attend this webinar, and the kinds of things you'll just be exposed to just in general, associating yourself with Clear Journey, and has a passion for this and for seeing individuals live a better life
Yeah,
holistically. So
that's it. So Oliver, we're at that time. Where can people catch up with you?
people can catch up with me if you're a social media person. Right next to my name on the screen, you can see the social media handle that is everywhere that we are on social media. You can find us there. If you're an email person, you can email the email on the screen. Like I said in the beginning, I am in the relationship building and men's enrichment spaces as an author, speaker, and coach, author of the book Overcoming the Man Laws, for the man who wants to be his best despite what he was taught. And we just want to see relationships thrive in every area. Contact us. Let's have a conversation.
Hey, and also again, founder of Clear Journey. I just want to let you know, go to clearjourney.org, find out what we have there. We're all there. We're there for support. We're there to educate and to give you resources, things that can help you navigate your life more successfully. And if you want to reach us, you can just get us at info@clearjourney.org, and we will be happy to assist you in any way that we possibly can. We have a Better Life, our initiative called A Better Life, that's there, where we have 8 areas of life that we talk about and to give you support in. And so if you go there, look around, see if that's something there that we can't help you in your journey. And
Indeed. Indeed. We appreciate you, Barry. Barry said, great show. Informative as always. Appreciate you for being here, Barry. And for
thank
that
you.
comment. Thank you for that as well.
And for all everybody else that was here, we really appreciate
Indeed.
you. Thank you. And
Avis, thank you.
We're gonna be Avis, and I guess there was one other person that gave us a comment.
Well, I think it was LinkedIn user, so I think that might have all been Avis, maybe.
Oh, there was an Ava, not an Ava. It was Avis and
So the program was a blessing. Thank you for that. We appreciate that, man. That's awesome. Like we're grateful that the information is valuable, and
yes.
That's what we're here to do is just share our journeys, in hopes that it will be an encouragement and an inspiration to you on your journey.
That's it. Clear Journey is all about.
We got Glendia. I hope I said that correctly. Please forgive me if I didn't. Great conversation. Thank you for being a part of it as well. Thank you for being a part of that
Thank
conversation.
you very much.
We appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Glendia. That's my cousin. That's my wife's aunt.
Okay, we got family in the house. I love it. I love it.
Thank you for sharing and for joining us tonight. I appreciate that.
Indeed.
So until next time, as we talk about it all the time, I said we can't change life, but we can help you navigate it. Until next time, we'll see you then.
We will see you next time. And listen, we're going to go out kind of the same way we did with these with the break. So stick around just for a few minutes to hear a few things that we have to say about Clear Journey. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Juan Lee from Clear Journey, and I'm here to invite you to our webinar called Harmony at Home. It's free. All you have to do is go to clearjourney.org and register. We look forward to seeing you there. It's on November the 4th at 6 p.m. virtually. It's for everyone. It's so that we might have more harmony at home.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marcus G. Vilme, founder and mentality shifting coach at Ant Mentalities, which is a wellness mindset-based business helping individuals shift their mentality away from a survival mindset so that they feel confident to fight every day toward a peaceful, enlightened future. Now, I am so excited to be part of the Harmony at Home webinar, which will be discussing the big topic of family bonds. I not only will be a panelist, but I will also be the moderator for the webinar itself. Now, I will be covering the 3 topics of how your family has made an impact on your physical health, your views on nutrition, as well as your wellness, mainly on the topics of beliefs and values itself. Now, I'll be joined with a few life coaches as well as a doctor in the realm of psychology, where we'll be unpacking all these different topics and so much more. So please join us so we can help you create even more harmony at home. And
what's up, family?
Hello, everyone.
I'm Oliver.
I'm Denise.
And we make up Denali, and we're excited to share with you that we are going to be a part of a special event that we want you to be a part of.
Yes.
It is a webinar entitled Harmony at Home, Strengthening Family Bonds Through Health and Wellness.
Yes, and that is on Saturday,
Indeed.
November 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Listen, you can go to clearjourney.org to register. We're going to be talking about how to build and strengthen bonds within the family. That's so important. You should be strengthening the bond in your family, right?
Definitely strengthening or maintaining that strength if it's already there. Definitely important to be doing that.
It is. So we're going to share some practical ways that you can do that. We have what we call a bonding hack, if you will, that we would love to share with everybody there. So make sure you go to clearjourney.org, register for this webinar. We want to see you there.
See you there.